We got so many of these injuries. Maybe we could give you a little bit more update. I had heard all this stuff about, you know, we had great confidence that Damon was going to be fine academically, and so we got the word yesterday. So Damon Wilson is fine. He's, you know, it's always hard when you have a guy that's a good student being questioned about his questions about his academic eligibility. But he's as we thought, no problems, and he's done a good job everywhere he's been academically. So that's taken care of. And then the injuries are getting there, and there's been a few. There's been a number of them, but I think as we're getting closer to practice, you know, October 2nd, 3rd, in that area, we're going to have everybody ready to go, and that's where we're looking at right now. Damon is out with the shoulder, separated shoulder. I don't know why you think that one we got out there. Raphael is getting plenty of running. You know, with the hand, at least you feel like he's getting something done, and Raphael is getting a lot of running. We're working on his left hand since the right hand's the broken thumb, and conditioning is what he needed to do. He had a hamstring when he was here in the summer that kept him away, and so we got him out there doing some of that with conditioning, and then working on his left hand. And then Chris and James are coming along, and maybe not as quick as we thought, but we certainly believe they're going to be ready to practice October 2nd and 3rd when we start with those practices. So that's where we're at. James is going to step it up a little bit here today and do a little bit more. So we're getting there. Obviously, we're being very cautious with it. It's gone, you know, we're way beyond what is normally, you know, looked at as the time to keep them out, normal recovery time. But obviously, it's the off season, different than it would be in season, and we're just trying to do the best we can with it.
Is that a recent injury for Damon, or is there?
Yeah, you know, I mean, just to keep, you know, the tradition going. It was he came here and he was fine during workouts for the summer. He was working out a lot back home in Atlanta, and he said something about getting hurt on Friday before he was coming back, and sure enough, he came in back with a sling, and so it was a little serious, more serious than he thought, and we're being real conservative with that. So that actually happened when he was back home in Atlanta playing pickup games.
One guy you didn't mention was Sterling Smith.
Yeah.
How's he? I mean,
Sterling's doing great. He's gone all the way. We only had 2 weeks of workouts here, and now we're finishing up the second one. But he's been good. Was out obviously the summer after having a couple good workouts. But excited about him. I really think he's a good player. I mean, we looked at the stats, watched the film. Very efficient, and obviously it's a step up in our league. But I think he's going to be a very good player for us. He picks things up. He's tough. He takes care of business. Can shoot the ball. He's got good size. He's aggressive, and you know, we'll see some more today with workouts that we do. But he's a super kid and doing well in school, and you know, real excited. We had a lot of things with the injuries in the summer. I guess we had more time to study. Where our GPA was well above a 3.0, so academically he did well, and so did a number of our other guys, and so. Our goal of being a 3.0 was met this summer and continue to be this fall. But he's going to be a good player. But he's been cleared and ready to go from the start of this fall.
Was Alonzo banged up too?
Yeah, Alonzo had surgery. You know, once he got here, he had the surgery during the year at Richmond, and then he had it became infected. The eye. He had the fractured cheekbone, so he was hurt during the year. Missed about 4 games, I think it was, and then. When he came and visited us, there was an infection, and so he got that fixed. And then just when he was coming to visit us again, it was infected again, but this one was far more of an issue, and it turned out that he had to get a surgery done to really fix what had been from the previous surgery. So there was an infection in that surgery on the fractured cheekbone, and that's what he dealt with for a couple months, really. So he was out pretty much all the summer that he was here. He was pretty much not able to do things. But he's been going strong here since he's been back.
That covers all the injuries?
I think, I mean, we had 5 guys for workouts in the summer. It's unheard of, 8 weeks. I mean, it is what it is. You know, my thing was, okay, we can't have any more. If they're not out, they won't be getting any other injuries or you know, able to, you know, have something more severe or more or keep them out longer. So in some ways we were trying to make it a positive, and there really isn't any, but that was the way we were looking at it. But I feel good about it now as far as we're getting there. Obviously you want to have James, your two most experienced guys, you'd like to have them out there, but we don't, and James and Chris are coming along.
You mentioned Damon. What is his timetable? Is he on the time?
Yeah, we're looking at right before that week of him looking to get in some live action. So before October 2nd, I guess is what it meant to be. I think it was September 26th, 27th, what that Monday is, and we're looking at that as a possible date. But that can obviously change.
He's been in the sling since.
Yeah, but he's not in the sling now. I think he's got that out. So I mean, I think we've covered all 13 injuries or whatever we had, but
how many healthy bodies do you have to start camp?
We added a walk-on in Zach Smith. I don't know if he's on the roster yet or now, but from Pitt, Bradford. So he's been working out with us. He's a guy we knew about, and we're hoping that he was going to be able to join us. And was in an engineering program at Pitt, Bradford, double-figure score there. For them, and was in a program that he could transfer over here to Pitt after 2 years there and finish up his engineering degree. So obviously a very good student, 3.8 student, good kid, hard worker, good size, good athlete, and has played pretty well. So that gave us another guy. So right now, I mean, we're looking at having 16 guys on the roster with 3 walk-ons. And Milligan's been going the entire time, so he's with us. So we didn't talk about him. He was the late addition. I think we got real fortunate with him. We'll see how it goes. But I mean, as far as having another point guard with Damon, with Chris, with James out, even for practice right now, we need somebody who can handle the ball and play the guard position. So I think that's been good for us too as well. So I think I've covered pretty much everybody. But Zach gives us another body. We've had 12 guys doing work. We call it Ontario came up with the name the MASH unit. So we've got 12 guys that actually can work out in these groups of 4. Then we got the other 4 guys in the MASH unit that can do run around with one hand and can shoot in a chair. That's what James has been doing. And Chris can shoot without moving. So and Damon can shoot with his it's actually his right shoulder, so not his left shoulder, so he can shoot with his left hand.
Do you feel like this is a team, like almost a brand new team, considering how many new guys you got?
Yeah, and it's weird because we have a lot. If you look at us, we've got the 2 leading scorers in the ACC coming back. Our numbers, we have some numbers. We have 4 starters coming back, but at the same time, we've got a lot of new bodies. And I think we're going to look at this as a new team, but I think this is something we're going to see in college basketball. I mean, once they've made it easier to transfer, and more kids are going to transfer. When you've made that fifth-year situation, it's going to occur. So I think this is going to be a way of life, and it has been. And as coaches are talking about now, recruiting. We always talk about being year-round, but you're recruiting for the future. Now I think it's going to be your recruiting to fill spots, and everybody was doing it. You got kids that are reclassifying late in the summer that are maybe in a 2016 class and 2016, and all of a sudden they become 2015, and those guys are becoming available. You got the graduate guy that's graduating late, whether it be the spring or he's graduating the summer, and then he's looking for a place to go. And then obviously you've got with that occurring, that movement, you're going to have other movement within your program. I mean, it's just a given. I mean, people, when someone transfers, they're going to be looking for someone to fill that spot, and the best guy available at that time is usually going to be a transfer. And that's just how, I mean, it's a cycle that's only going to get more prevalent. It's only going to get larger because, it's not like you can sign somebody in the fall. You got to, what's going to be eligible, what's going to be around in the spring is another transfer.
Has that been a tough adjustment? Because you guys have had such a stable program.
It's different. I mean, obviously there was the stretch where we had the transfers and kids were able to be eligible right away, and if they came up with a circumstance that was obviously, as they've come now, were questionable, and certainly some were stretching it a bit. So then they've gone back to that rule. But yeah, I think it's different. There's no question. It's been a part of our it's taken away from what we were known for as far as our stability, but I mean, it's just part of it. I mean, it's pretty simple. If you make it easier for kids to transfer, they're going to transfer. There's going to be more transfers. I don't think you can, analyze it too much and say this, that. It's just a way of life. If you make things easier, it's usually going to happen.
What kind of boost was it to get Jonathan this late in the process?
It still remains to be seen. Obviously, he's a kid that was recruited at a high level. There's usually not that many guys available that late in the summer. I talked to Josh about, we knew given his situation, he was possibly that it was going to, a red shirt was going to be a possibility. I talked to him about the possibility of transferring in the spring. You got to foresee these things. Obviously, happen later than we would have hoped or anticipated, but we want him to be successful. I think we did as well as we could given the situation, the timing. And I just felt, given our other injuries, we had to get another guard. So Jonathan is excited to be here. He obviously comes with some reputation of being a pretty good player. He was recruited at a high level, and with that new rule in junior college, as far as GPA, what you have to have, it became he had to take some summer courses that finished late. And we're fortunate that we started later this year, and that's how things worked out. So timing is everything.
Is the thinking among like major college coaches basically just the jump from the Ivy League or Coppin State's league to the ACC is a lot less than the jump from high school to the ACC?
Yeah.
Is that pretty much
Yeah, I think you'd rather have a 23-year-old for a year than take a kid that you don't know about, well enough. And that's why these kids have become so valuable. I mean, the level of recruitment that these guys are getting in the spring. I mean, the number of schools that we had to beat for Alonzo or for Sterling is. But when they made that rule, I've been against it from the beginning because I mean, it's just putting. I think you're just putting people in a tough situation. I mean, it really is, and obviously we had, a couple of our guys that had gone. I mean, we have Joe, who's obviously, as everybody knows, I mean, struggled with the knee, and you could tell, and it was pretty obvious, and it's just you wonder if it might be the best thing for him to go to a different league, a different opportunity. And so, we talked about that. And so, there's all different situations. The Brown one is, with the Ivy League, I mean, that's a unique situation where the league, you can't, like Raphael had to leave. He couldn't play his 5th year in the Ivy League because of the rule they have. So that was one that everybody knew about. That's why he was recruited almost the entire year. And then, there's Sterling graduated in 3 years, so a lot of the situations are I shouldn't say there's different situations. Those two are unique, but I think it really is a rule it's being discussed. I was just at the meetings; they talked about it. We went through it. It's obviously not what they thought it was going to be. I mean, I think we're finding that kids aren't transferring with the degree in mind. As that was what the rule was made. I mean, this is the NCAA people talking. The rule was based on them trying to get an opportunity to go to a major that they don't have at their old school. Well, that's not what it's being used for, and maybe it's not a bad thing for the kids to have the opportunity, but it's not being done because of what the rule was made for.
Have you had to change your scouting sort of balance to focus more on maybe small colleges, junior colleges?
I wouldn't call it scouting, but I'm afraid that's what it's going to become. I mean, it's going to be schools are going to be looking at other schools, and that's not what what it should be. And so, but no, we wouldn't say that that's the case. Again, Raphael was a different situation because everybody knew he had to go. There's a few of those guys. The other kid from Cornell that ended up at Connecticut. There's a few of those situations that people know about, and there may be contact or at least coaches talking amongst each other where they're involved in the process. Brown was involved in Raphael's process. So again, the situation is different. But it's becoming more. You got kids. I think kids are going to start looking to transfer to graduate in 3 years, more similar to Sterling. You got kids going to summer school from before their freshman year, and then graduating in 3 years. So I think you're going to see more of that in the future. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. I guess you got kids graduating in 3 years. It's pretty good, but you know, it's making sure that they get those degrees done in that fifth year too, or the graduate level degree too.
Obviously, it's early, but do you see Roselle as a guy that's going to be able to play this year?
I certainly hope so. I mean, he's done some good things. I mean, obviously conditioning and his body is going to be a big factor, but we recruit him to play, and he has some unique tools. I mean, his size obviously stands out, but he has very good hands, soft touch. He's got a good feel, and he runs better than you would think given his size. I mean, straight line, he runs as well as anybody. Lateral quickness is what he's got to improve on, and so we're working on that. But yeah, we obviously have a need at that spot, and we want to have more of a presence in at that 5 spot, and he obviously presents that.
Now that the schedule has been released, did the
Yeah.
non-conference portion turn out, you know, how you wanted it to?
Yeah, I mean, you know, interesting enough, I think I told you guys when we were going to the ACC, one of the things is you'll be excited about is we'll be able to get the schedule out to you even earlier, because the Big East seemed to be later, but it turned out to be the exact opposite. The ACC has gone even longer and later getting the schedule out, and so we finally got it to you. As far as the non-conference, I mean, you know, we got obviously Purdue's a great team and highly thought of. Their big guys, their front line, as good as anybody. Gonzaga, obviously, to play in that game is huge for us. And for Gonzaga as well. It's obviously a great opportunity, great experience for our players and for our program, and anything involved in the military to be mentioned as part of that or in the same breath, and for all that they do for us, I think is something that our guys will gain something out of and learn something out of and appreciate what they have a little bit more and appreciate what the servicemen do for us. So I think it'll be a great experience, great life experience for our players. Yeah, I mean, obviously Duquesne is a big game for us, and then playing in the Garden, we signed up for that, you know, 2-3 years ago, because that's a big big event, and you just don't know who you're going to get. And Davidson's obviously a dangerous team, and you know, we're excited about those ones. So. We're obviously going to play Syracuse and Louisville twice, which gives us probably the toughest rivalry games on the ACC schedule, and we're always going to play them twice. So we always know that we have that built in, and we're excited about where we're at. I mean, it's you know, there's only really a few games that, if you really total it up and look at it, we get in the best tournaments. You know, Maui last year, will be in the Brooklyn one next year, Legends, I believe it's called still. But, you know, we get in the best tournaments, and we play in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and we have the Duquesne game, and pretty much it takes care of it. And then we're going to try to play a single game, the best team we can get. Gonzaga, pretty good.
Jamie, when all the new players coming in, and you've got the nucleus, and yet you need depth, how competitive and how difficult might it be for you guys to figure out who's who in such a short period of time for the other spots? Yeah,
it's going to be interesting, because we do have the 6 new players, but yet we have 7 guys that all played a lot of minutes in reality. And Cameron Johnson, because he was hurt, maybe not as much, but you know, he obviously was playing well for us last summer, and we were expecting a lot out of him before the injury. So there is I guess a balance, but. We brought in older guys, so you know, I think that they're not just freshmen, and so I think that will make the adjustment a little bit. I would think less cumbersome. I mean, I think that you know, Raphael's been around, Alonzo's they've got bodies. You talk about Roselle's older, so I think physically. That they're going to be fine, and I think obviously being in college programs, good college programs, for those guys, I think will make that transition a little bit easier. So,
is it tough for some guys though to separate themselves? You know what I mean, over a short period of time.
Oh, from what they used to do or how they do things?
No, against one another. You guys have to figure out who's going to play
Well, I mean, they're playing pickup games. We're doing workouts now. I mean, we're going to have, 30 practices before. I think there's, it'll happen. And you got to be on the floor too. I mean, we got to have the guys got to be out on the floor. I think that's where they can really make their statements and do it. But sitting out and not being able to go, that puts some guys behind. So the guys out there have obviously got an advantage at this point. But there's plenty of time. We get the 30 practice. We're only getting 2 hours a week. Let's not make like we're when I talked about we didn't have the. As coaches, you want everything you get, but we had 5 guys this summer. I mean, remember, it's only 2 hours a week, 8 weeks in the summer. So, we're talking about 16 hours and an entire summer that we weren't able to work out with, 6, 7 of those guys. So, I can sit here and use that as an excuse for the rest of the year. But let's keep it in perspective.
Is Ryan Luther, would he be a candidate for you guys to redshirt this year, if given all the new guys you have and where you have players?
I think it'll be interesting. Ryan is going to be a very good player for us, and is a very good player. And his last couple of weeks, he's made you can see his confidence growing and growing. So, he could do some things. I mean, last year we thought going into it, we thought Cameron Johnson would be a redshirt candidate, and obviously he played himself into he was going to be a significant contributor, a third leading scorer in the summer when we went to the Bahamas. So you never quite know, but Ryan Luther, what I do know is he's going to be a very good player for us. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, we've got 13 guys that could all play this year as far as scholarship guys. Where do we go with all 13 and have them ready to go? I don't think so. I think there's got to be somebody that possibly redshirts, but usually an injury or something else dictates that, and especially what we've gone through the last couple of years.
Just for clarity's sake, if you had to play tomorrow, you have 12 guys available, and by Gonzaga you'll have, 12 out of the 16. Like, out of your scholarship guys, how many could play right now, and how many do you expect to be available for Gonzaga?
James couldn't play, Chris couldn't play, Raphael couldn't play, and Damon couldn't play.
But
I expect them to be ready to go by.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, I expect them.
Yeah.
So are Mike and Jamel, do you expect them to shift more to the 4 and 3 this year?
That's the
respectively?
plan. I mean, Jamel, I think, and Jamel was really doing that last year. As the year went on, he was playing more 3 than 4. I mean, and when you say that, offensively, he was guarding the 3 pretty much the entire time. Defensively, he was guarding the 3. So I don't know if it'd be that dramatic. Mike obviously played the 4 as a freshman. Obviously, I would say, his natural position, the 4, we'll say, and yet he averaged 13 and 7 at his unnatural position, the 5, I guess, and he averaged 4 or 5 at his natural position, the 4 his freshman year. So, I think he can play both spots. I think he gives a matchup problem at the 5, and but it'll be discussed over and over again. But we just got to get our best players on the floor, and that remains to be seen who those guys are. But we'd like to get a little bit. We got to get something out of those 3 guys, and Raphael and Alonzo and Roselle. But time will give us that answer.